Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so I figured it was probably about time that we had a look at Chandelure and how in the Sword and Shield metagame, it still works, it's still fun, and we can totally still play it. So it's got a couple cards in there you might not be expecting. This is a very, very different list to what we've been playing pre-Sword and Shield. Now, obviously, it all still revolves around that Chandelure. Now, it is a stage 2, blah, 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 you got to get to stage 2, no one likes stage 2s, all of that. But when you do have the stage 2 Chandelure, for a single fire energy, it's got Spirit Burner. Discard the top 5 cards of your deck, and this attack does 60 more damage for each Pokemon you discarded in this way. And then any fire Pokemon you did discard in this way go right onto your bench. So what you're basically doing here is just building up a whole bunch of other fire Pokemon that you can use. That sounds kind of fun. What's different with this list is we're really not going that deep into the fire Pokemon. We've got Incineroar, Ninetales. That's it. That's what we're playing. In terms of other fire Pokemon, we've got Incineroar, we've got Ninetales. Now, to be fair, the Incineroar does mean that your attacks do an extra 30 damage. It doesn't stack. So we're playing 2 just so that we have one, so that one isn't prized, etc. But it doesn't stack. It's only 1 at a time. And then Ninetales lets you discard a couple fire energy from your hand, and then gust one of your opponent's Pokemon into the active. Cool. It's gusting. Gusting is fun. But what we are doing here is just playing a lot of Pokemon, because even though it's only fire Pokemon you put onto your bench, Chandelure still does the extra 60 regardless of which Pokemon you discarded in this way. Now, what's actually happened here is that just a whole bunch of changes have been made to make this better in the Sword and Shield metagame. A whole bunch of Pokemon have been added. And one that's been added is a gigantic 4/4 free line. That's 11 Pokemon for Inteleon. And see, here's the thing. You're not playing that many trainer cards. We'll go through them in a minute. You're only playing 6 different types of trainer cards. You're not playing many trainer cards at all. But you see, you can play a whole bunch of Inteleon because you just discard them when you attack with Chandelure to do extra damage. I should mention here, Inteleon's got the ability whereby when you evolve up into it, you can just search your deck for 2 trainer cards and put them in your hand. And there is the Drizzile as well, that when you evolve up into it, you get to search your deck for 1 trainer card and put it into your hand. Helps you get the rare candy early on in the game. You need that early Chandelure. The other thing is, this is a very different kind of list in that we're playing a lot of basic Pokemon. There's actually 19 basic Pokemon in this deck. One of the issues we always had with Chandelure, the way we used to play it, and I'll link a video to that in the description, was that we were literally playing 4 basics, we'd mulligan a bunch, and a lot of the time, our opponent would just KO our only basic and we'd lose before we'd ever got the stage 2 Chandelure. Really good deck once you got set up, but there was no guarantee you would actually ever get set up. Not an issue, ladies and gentlemen, when you're playing 9... I suppose that can happen, but it's very, very, very unlikely. And of course, it doesn't matter if you're playing a whole bunch of extra basics you don't want to use, because you discard them when you attack with Chandelure to do a whole heap of damage. Inteleon keeps you consistent. Now, there are a bunch of other Pokemon here. One of the Pokemon we're playing is Dunsparce. Now, this is the Dunsparce which I expected to see a whole bunch more play. The one in Celestial Storm, the most recent one we've actually had. 1 colorless energy, search for 3 basic Pokemon, put them on your bench, and you may switch this to the bench if you like. There isn't really a better Pokemon to put active, so you'll probably let it stay active and just get KO'd. But it's an option. It is there if you want it. We also see a copy of the new Oranguru. Now, this is the Oranguru that says, once during your turn, you may swap 1 card in your hand with the top card of your deck. This lets you put a Pokemon on top of your deck. It guarantees there will be at least 1 Pokemon there. So you've got 1 guaranteed, and then randomly from the top 5 cards of your deck, rather than just randomly from the top 6 cards of your deck. But when you do that, it also basically just lets you draw a card. And maybe it's something you need, maybe it isn't, but it gives you that tiny little bit of extra consistency, which could end up being the difference between a win and a loss here. So I'm all in favour. And then we see one copy of the Oricorio. It's got the ability lets you draw 3 cards if you had a Pokemon KO'd last turn. You're playing a single prize deck largely, so this will work beautifully with that. And even though it is largely a single prize deck, you're still playing a couple copies of Dedenne. You hope to never use them. You hope to just discard them when attacking to do extra damage, but it gives you the option of being able to have a fast, explosive start. No, you don't. You discard your hand and draw 6 cards. You don't want to play Dedenne. But if it's a choice between leaving a 2-prize Pokemon on your bench to be gusted up and KO'd, or you lose the game because you have no second basic, you're going to leave the 2-prize Pokemon on the bench ready to be gusted up and KO'd. That seems fairly sensible to me. And then we've actually got 3 copies of Gossifleur. Not a Pokemon we see very often at all. But it's actually really good here. And the reason is extremely simple. Lets you search for 3 basic Pokemon and put them on your bench. Not the only deck we've seen this in, incidentally. It does see a little bit of play. But it's any 3 basic Pokemon, and it's for a single colourless energy. We don't have a better call for family. This is the best call for family we've got. Now that's a little bit of a lie. Dunsparce lets you search for 3 Pokemon for just 1 colourless energy and conflict to the bench. But we're already playing a full 4 copies of Dunsparce. Dunsparce and Gossifleur here really do just fit the same niche, but now we're playing 7 of them. So basically, you've got your Dunsparce and your Gossifleur to get all your basics, and you've got your really fat Inteleon line, and you've got your Dedenne for emergencies. And what we're basically saying with this deck is, no longer are we going to just play 4 Litwick, cross our fingers, and play around with lots of fun fire Pokemon. We are going to really streamline the fire Pokemon, because you really are just attacking with Chandelure here. That is your goal. You don't really have any good backup attacker. There's no Charizard from Team Up or any of that. But it's going to set up and it's going to work. I kind of like this new build of Chandelure. Will it be as good? Time will tell. But it's already seen some play and some success and some love. Now, in terms of energy here, you're just playing fire energy, because that's what you need to attack with Chandelure. We ain't mucking about. And in terms of trainer cards here, I said it was very, very sparse, and it is very, very sparse. In terms of supporters, we've literally just got 2 copies of Brock's Grit and 2 copies of Rosa. Now, Brock's Grit lets you shuffle 6 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy back into your deck from your discard pile, and this works beautifully here. Because, well, firstly, you need 6 Chandelure in an ideal world, but also, if you discard all your Pokemon, you don't have Pokemon in your deck to discard when you attack with Chandelure to do the extra damage. Whereas, if you've got a very small deck, and then you play Brock's to put 6 Pokemon back in, the proportion of Pokemon to not Pokemon in your deck will be larger, and that means that you're likely to hit for extra damage. Remember, Chandelure does 10 base, but 60 more for each Pokemon you discard from the top 5 cards of your deck. If you can make your deck, 10 Pokemon and 2 other cards, you're going to be doing a lot of damage. If you can manipulate it so your deck is only Pokemon, you're doing 310 damage. As for Rosa, you're playing a single prize deck. Your opponent is likely to be winning by taking single KOs 6 times, most of the time. So, every time you get a Pokemon KO'd, you get to search your deck for a trainer card, Pokemon, and a basic energy. Except here, remember, we're playing 7 Pokemon that are just there to get our basics out. So our opponent KOs a Dunsparce or a Gossifleur, we play this, and what do we search for? Rare Candy, Chandelure, Fire Energy. Oh, look, now we've got the guaranteed attack, because you went and got the Litwick out using your Dunsparce or Gossifleur. And then, of course, when you attack with Chandelure, there's a decent chance you'll hit another Chandelure, and you'll never have to Rare Candy again. We do play free rare candy. We don't need 4 because we can search it out with stuff like Rosa or Inteleon. We've got 4 copies of Pokemon Communication. It's the only Pokemon search we play, and the reason is we're playing a stupid amount of Pokemon here. Yes, Quick Ball and Evolution Incense do exist in the format at the moment, but they can get either basics or evolutions. Pokemon Communication lets you swap a Pokemon you have in your hand for a Pokemon you want in your deck, but you're playing a stupid amount of Pokemon here, so it's going to work 90% of the time. And then outside of that, we've got 2 copies of Giant Hearth. It's our Stadium of Choice, but it also gets our Fire Energy out of our deck into our hand, either to attach and then attack with Chandelure, or because if we got 2 Fire Energy in our hand, we can discard them for Ninetales' ability. And then we got 2 Fire Crystal, which just get free Fire Energy from our discard into our hand. So we either search it out the discard using Fire Crystal or the deck using Giant Hearth. Make no mistake about it, Chandelure is back, but this is a very, very different Chandelure deck. It is a very, very different build to what we were playing and what we saw showing up and seeing a bit of play at the World Championships. But I like it. And also, because you're mucking about with stuff like Inteleon, Gossifleur, Oranguru, it really is a Sword and Shield on deck. This deck just got a whole bunch better with Sword and Shield. But I'd like to know what you think about it, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WasiPlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but we love them anyway. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.